some explanations because this is getting ridiculous. The fact that your two pass catchers, you drafted these two guys in the top 10 and you can't give them the ball? What is going on? Why? Two of the more talented players at their position and you cannot give them the ball. It's getting ridiculous. I'm tired of it.
One time.
What is good, everybody? It's your boy Aaron coming from you for the Courtside View podcast. And today I will be reacting to week 1 of the NFL season. Now, obviously my co-host is not going to be here today, but you have me. So let's get down into it. Now, before we start, I want to preface my comments by saying I was not able to watch every single game, so I'm going to have to be relying on highlights and box score. So I'm going to be careful what I say, and I just want to leave it like that so you guys understand that I'm coming from a place of not knowing every single detail that was going on during that game. So I just wanted to say that real quick. But let's get it started, and let's go to the Monday night game because that's the biggest news of it all, and that's the Bills versus Jets game. As we all know, Aaron Rodgers, he's out for the season with an Achilles injury, a torn Achilles. And the New York Jets, even after Aaron Rodgers injured his Achilles, the fourth snap of the game, they were able to win the game ultimately. And part of that was because Josh Allen forgot how to play quarterback. Josh Allen looked like a rookie out there, making ill-advised passes, just taking risk he didn't need to make. It was absurd how many times he threw it to Whitehead, I believe his name is, and he was able to pick him off 3 times. And each time was egregious. Like the 2 times he was trying to throw it downfield like 40, 50 yards, it was double covered and they picked it off. One time he could have scrambled for the first down, but he decided, hero ball, let's let it loose. I'm going for it all. And he paid for it. And then the one with Whitehead on the sideline over there, that was egregious as well. It was double covered. So I don't know what was going on. He also fumbled the ball as well. I don't know what's going on with Josh Allen in that game. He was definitely tripping. He must have been off something because that right there, he single-handedly cost his team the game. Like, there's no argument about it. They were moving down the field pretty well, and then he just started BSing. He started throwing ill-advised passes he didn't need to throw, and that cost him the game. On the Jets side of things, Zach Wilson did the best he could. And given the situation, he probably didn't think he was going to play. He won them the game. He managed the game good enough. He threw that pick, which was egregious, but he made for it. They won the game. He managed the game. They got in the red zone, got the field goal. That's all he could really ask for when it comes to Zach Wilson because, let's face it, he's not really good. There's a reason why they brought in Aaron Rodgers in the first place. And so that's really, when it comes down to the Jets' defense is elite. It is something serious. But then I also have to take a step back and look at Josh Allen and the Bills and say the Bills beat themselves up. Josh Allen beat himself up because there was no excuse for you to lose to the Jets without Aaron Rodgers. Like the Jets, they have a talented roster, but so do you. And you're supposed to be a top 5 QB, an elite QB. And that night, you look like one of the worst QBs in the NFL. So, anywho, Aaron Rodgers' Achilles out for the season. You hate to see it. I'm an Aaron Rodgers fan. Not a Jets fan, just Aaron Rodgers fan. So, it was heartbreaking to see him. I was getting very excited for the Jets season. I really wanted to see how the Jets were going to look this entire season. And the team is talented. Oh, my God. The fact that they beat the Bills at home on Monday night with Dak Wilson quarterbacking. imagining Aaron Rodgers on that team, it will get dangerous. Teams will be sweating, and so Super Bowl aspirations for the Jets climbed down after Aaron Rodgers was out of the game, and I feel bad for Jets fans. It's definitely a bad situation. I remember when my guy Kobe, rest in peace, Kobe Bryant, he tore his Achilles, and I was watching the game, and he fell down. It was a surreal, heartbreaking experience, and he shot that free throw, legendary, just legendary. The fact that he was able to shoot a free throw with a torn Achilles, but he was never the same. Now that's basketball. Football, on the other hand, is there a possibility he can come back? Absolutely. But he is 39 years old. He's going to be 40 when he comes back. So it's about a 9 to 12 month recovery. And he's 39, 40 years old. Does he have the motivation? Does he have the drive to want to put in that work to come back and start over again next season? So I hope he comes back. I hope this isn't the end for Aaron Rodgers. But if it is, he had a fantastic career, regardless of what people think they're going to hate. But he did win a Super Bowl, won 4 MVPs, made All-Pro so many times. Back-to-back MVPs. But it is what it is. And, yeah, we'll just have to see how the Jets sort of maneuver after the loss of Aaron Rodgers. So, let's transition. Let's go to the other games on the docket. All right. Packers and Bears. So, this is my team, and I wasn't able to catch the first half because I was at the Commanders versus Cardinals game. So, I was only able to see the second half of the game. And the first half of the game, just looking at the score, I was box score watching while I was at the Commanders versus Cardinals game. And what I saw was that it was a relatively low-scoring game. It was like 7-6, I believe it was. And second half rolls around, and that's where things pick up. I thought that the Packers did a really good job offensively, not putting too much on Jordan Love's shoulders. Aaron Jones, he was phenomenal that game. He ran the ball effectively. That one screen pass, he took it to the house. Romeo Doubs in the red zone area, he also catch some really nice passes. Luke Musgrave, he caught some really nice passes. This is what I expected from the Packers when it comes to Jordan Love and his targets. I knew from training camp, from preseason, that he's going to favor Romeo Doubs. He's going to favor Luke Musgrave. But the fact that they were able to have an efficient and effective offense without Christian Watson just lets me know that, A, Jordan Love, the way that they've developed him has been fantastic. And just looking at some film in terms of the way he was able to sort of maneuver his eyes, right? And it's also his throwing ability, sort of maneuver, trick the linebacker and think he's going to throw a certain way and then he throws the other way. Fantastic. You could just tell he's the Packers organization, the developmental team, really did a lot of work on making sure that his mechanics were refined. And you could tell Jordan Love has also, sitting behind Aaron Rodgers, has paid dividends. And that's what happens when you sit behind a Hall of Fame quarterback. You learn a lot from him, and you take certain traits that are effective and you use it for your own. So it's the first game. It is the Chicago Bears. Packers are historically known for beating up on the Chicago Bears. But this was a really good sign for the Green Bay Packers. On the Chicago Bears side of things, very disappointing. I thought the offense was atrocious for the most part. The defense was atrocious as well. Yes, I will say that Justin Fields, he was not good. Were there moments where he played well? Yeah, like that one play in the red zone with Darnell Mooney. I thought he did a really good job. He sort of changed the Packers' pass protection, and he was able to dissect what the Packers were doing. So I thought that was really well. But for the most part, just overall, he was running for his life as always. There's only one good offensive lineman, and that's the rookie that they drafted. And even he was getting beat by Rashawn Gary, which is, listen, it's Rashawn Gary. Like, I can understand. There's one guy you're going to get beat by, it's Rashawn Gary. But at the same time, he struggled with it. And just overall, not being able to target DJ Moore, only get two. He only got 2 receptions, inexcusable. Their offense was just pathetic, and this keeps going on. A, that whole coaching staff is going to be gone. B, Justin Fields is probably going to be gone. So Luke Getsy needs to get it together. There was some plays where I was on Twitter and I was looking at film, and there's people that was like, "Yo, like, what play is this? What are they trying to do?" Like, there was confusion going on in like the type of play they were trying to run. Like, there was one play where I think it was in the red zone area, and it looked like Justin Fields. He was rolling out, right. It was like play action. He was like rolling out, and I think it was like the running back was rolling out, and everybody else was doing something else, and it was just all weird. The protection was all over the place, and that's just how the Chicago Bears has been this entire game, and it just looks bad. The coaching, it just seems like there's a reason why they had the number 1 pick. It's the reason why they had the worst record in the league. It's because bad coaching. Justin Fields running for his life, trying to make something out of nothing. And there's just no cohesion. There's just no structure with this team, offensively and defensively. I get the lack of talent, but at the same time, at least have a structure. At least have something that you can identify, right? Like, you have a offensive identity, a defensive identity. They don't have none of that. This is the first game. The Packers always play well against the Bears, so we'll have to see. They play the Buccaneers next, so we'll have to see about that. Hopefully, Justin Fields can rebound from this game and have a really good second game. All right, so let's go to a game that, thank God, I didn't watch. 49ers versus Steelers. Now, I wasn't able to watch this game because I was at the Commanders versus Cardinals game. And this was a total beatdown. From start to finish, the 49ers dominated. The Steelers couldn't do anything. And I was completely shocked because I picked the Steelers to win this game. And I was disappointed. I thought Kenny Pickett was going to finally show people that he made that leap from a year ago. Just looking at what he did in preseason and training camp, I was completely shocked at how dominant the 49ers were from both ends of the floor. Because, as we all know, the Steelers, with T.J. Watt, with Cameron Hayward, with all them boys, they're one of the best defenses in the league. And the fact that the 49ers were able to just run down, do what the hell they wanted with Brock Purdy leading the way, was definitely something shocking that I did not see coming. Now, this is Kyle Shanahan. He's one of the best in the business. But, man, against the Pittsburgh Steelers, a Mike Tomlin coached team, to do that, very impressive. Brock Purdy, is he the real deal? Was last year not a fluke? It's looking like it so far because he was amazing. He did a really good job. He didn't make any mistakes. Brandon Ayuk, I'm not surprised. I knew Brandon Ayuk was going to be the number 1 this year. I was trying to draft him in fantasy, but somebody took him before me, so I had to draft, I think it was James Cook. But yeah, I already knew, like, from last year, Brandon Ayuk was going to take another leap, and he did. It looks like he's going to be one of the better receivers in the league this year. I think Debo, I don't know what they're going to do with Debo, but I think eventually Debo's going to be on the way out because of that contract. But anywho, yeah, Brandon Ayuk is a tremendous talent. George Hill, he didn't really do much. They didn't really need much from him. So, but overall, the 49ers, they look like, just like they were last year, a Super Bowl contender. And they completely just beat down on the Steelers. And it was an embarrassment. Hopefully, that was just because the 49ers are just that good. Or because that would be bad for the Steelers. They were getting all this hype from me and my co-host. So that would be very disappointing. All right, so let's go to the next game. Let's see. Let's go to the Dolphins and Chargers. This is another game I was able to watch in the second half. And if you don't know, a huge Tua fan. I drafted Tyreek Hill in fantasy last year. He was phenomenal for me. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to grab him this year. But Tyreek Hill is a 101. He is a unicorn. This dude, his ability to stretch the field, his ability to get open whenever. The Chargers had no answer for him. Mike McDaniels, as always, one of the better offensive minds in the league, coming from the Shanahan tree. And Tua. Tua has a lot of naysayers, has a lot of critics that believe he's not really good, believes that it's just the system. But what this game showed me is that it's not just the system. Tua is actually a good quarterback when he's healthy. And he just made some absolutely amazing throws. People criticize his arm strength. Well, it looked pretty good that game. He made one throw. It was in the fourth quarter. It was to Tyreek Hill. And it was off one leg. Like he stepped up in the pocket and he threw the ball. He was like on one leg to Tyreek Hill. And it was just absolute dime. That was a phenomenal pass. One of his better throws I've ever seen. And they won the game against the Chargers on the road. Impressive victory, a shootout against Justin Herbert in that offense with Austin Eckler, with Mike Williams, Quentin Johnson, and Keenan Allen. Can't say enough about just the Dolphins' ability to go into a stadium, into a hostile environment, and win against arguably a top 5 QB in the league in Justin Herbert. On the Chargers side of things, so there's this person, in the comment section who was defending Brandon Staley, right? Saying he's a phenomenal coach. Well, explain to me what the hell happened against the Dolphins. Because there was many times where a defensive coach in Brandon Staley had his defense looking very pedestrian. Very terrible. J.C. Jackson getting cooked. Khalil Mack not doing nothing. Joey Bosa not doing nothing. It was a colossal disaster. There was one play I saw on Twitter on film where I think it was Khalil Mack and he was covering Tyreek Hill. And Khalil Mack like, hey, why you got me covering Tyreek Hill? And so Khalil Mack pointed and he didn't cover Tyreek Hill. Nobody covered Tyreek Hill, and he got open. These are some of the things that nobody likes to discuss, but I will mention when it comes to Brandon Staley, is that it just seems like he doesn't do a really good job when it comes to playing against elite competition. He is not the best when it comes to adjustments. And so, another example of him dropping the ball. Justin Herbert. I'm not going to put this on Justin Herbert because I think that, one, the offensive line just got killed at the end of the game. Could he have done better? Absolutely. But I do think that I'm not going to put it all on Justin Herbert this game. He did lose finally to it. Listen, all these people trying to hate on Tua, try to criticize Tua. Well, guess what? He beat Justin Herbert this time. So what you going to say now? Huh? What you going to say now? But I do think Justin Herbert had a pretty solid game. It's just the ending. The offensive line broke down, covered zero. He didn't have time to really throw the football. And yeah, that's pretty much the end of that game. Dolphins their offense is dynamic. I did say this before. I'm going to say it again. The Dolphins, when healthy, are Super Bowl contender. You could argue they are the number one contender when healthy. But when healthy, we don't know. We don't know if they're going to stay upright all the way to January. And so the Dolphins are a very talented team. They did this last year in September. Now we have to see if this will transfer in November, in December, in January. That's when we'll get a better picture of, are the Dolphins for real? I have confidence in them. They did almost beat the Bills last year with Skylar Thompson and QB. But we have to see. Okay, let's go to Ravens and Texans. Don't really need to say much about this game. The Ravens, Lamar Jackson kind of struggled a little bit. 25-9. A bit surprising how much he struggled because the Texans, they don't have a whole lot of talent. I mean, they have Derek Stingley and Will Anderson, and they brought in Ward from the 49ers. But overall, they don't have a whole lot of talent on that team, so I was a bit surprised. I was a bit perplexed that the Ravens offense wasn't able to get the ground running. But it is a new offense, new OC. Lamar Jackson has new pieces. He's coming back from injury. So it's going to take some time to get adjusted. Also, I do think not having Mark Andrews did hurt a lot because that's his security blanket. But overall, they won the game. It's the first week of the season. Really, it's just the first week of the season. So you can't really take too much from it besides the point that teams are still getting ready. They're still warming up, per se. We'll see if they change things up in week 2. Mark Andrews probably will come back. And yeah, no J.K. Dobbins. He got injured. That's pretty disappointing. But I think that they'll be fine without him. Gus Edwards is a solid backup. And Justice Hill, he's okay. So it's all about the receivers and the tight end at the end of the day. And we'll have to see. All right. Let's go to a shocking one. Browns and Bengals. I picked the Browns to win this game because they just have the Bengals number. They just know how to beat the Bengals. And also, Joe Burrow coming back from that calf injury, I believe it was. It was a calf strain. I knew it was going to be rusty. I knew that the Browns defense was going to put a hat on him. And they did. They just completely shut down that offense. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, they couldn't do anything. Joe Mixon couldn't do anything. It was a complete domination. And I will say about the Browns, the thing with the Browns is never a question of talent. My question of the Browns is the guy under center, the quarterback, Deshaun Watson. How good is Deshaun Watson? Because he didn't play well against the Bengals. Can Deshaun Watson play good enough for them to win the division, make the playoffs? And I'm still hesitant. To believe that they can win a division, that they can make the playoffs, that they can win a playoff game. Because I'm not confident in his game. Last game, he just doesn't look like the same guy from Houston. And that's what they paid all that guaranteed money for him to play like the guy in Houston. I don't see that at all. But they do have, they're one of the most talented teams in the league, offensively and defensively. So they have Elijah Moore, they have Amari Cooper, they have Nick Chubb, they have a talented offensive line. David Njoku, they have a talented roster. Defense with Zendarius Smith, with Myles Garrett, with Denzel Ward, you name it. They have all these guys, but the one denominator is the quarterback. And I'm not a believer. And this game didn't convince me otherwise. On the Bengals side of things, I think they'll bounce back from this. I'm not going to just say, oh my God, Joe Burrow's trash now. No, I'm not going to do that. They did this last year against the Steelers. They laid an egg. I expect them to get better. Matter of fact, the first 3-4 weeks of the season, they were pretty pathetic. And then they got it together. It's a 17-game season. They lost week 1. Let's see what they do week 2. And then we'll come back from this. All right, so let's go to the next game on the docket. All right, what we got? Yeah, Commanders, Cardinals, Bucks, Vikings, Titans. All right, let's go. The game that I went to, Commanders and Cardinals. I'm not gonna lie, this game, one of the worst football games I've ever watched on television or live. It was so bad. That Monday night game, Bills and Jets, I enjoyed that game more than the Cardinals and Commanders game. Why? Well, the amount of flags that were called, the amount of penalties that were called, just destroyed everything, the momentum of the game, the pacing of the game. It was just terrible. Let's get to the quarterbacks. Sam Howell versus Joshua Dobbs. Enough said. Let's get to the offenses. The Cardinals, not good at all. Like, just not good. I mean, Rondale Moore is okay. Marquise Brown is okay. What's his name? James Conner is okay. Zach Ertz is okay. Like, they're okay. I will say Marco Wilson, that cornerback from the Cardinals, he did a number on Terry McLaurin. So, best defensive player by far. And then on the Commander side of things, I mean, Eric Bieniemy, where were you cooking? Like, I'm looking at a lot of these play calls, same run plays over and over and over again, and it's not effective at all. The pass plays, I remember there's one where I think it was Terry and Jahan were doing a crossing route, right? And they were literally like close like this. What? What? They were like literally like this, close from one another, doing a crossing route on the other side of the field. What do you expect is going to happen? The play calling was egregious. But I will say the quarterback, he held the ball too long. He was putting on his best Josh Allen impression when it comes to scrambling, continuing to get hit, not protecting himself, sliding late, which allows the defender to hit you. It was just bad. It was really bad. Logan Thomas was dropping passes, easy passes. Terry McLaurin was getting locked up. Jahan Dotson, he was okay, but he was just okay. And Antonio Gibson was terrible. He's just terrible. And Brian Robinson, he was okay. So overall, that game was boring. Worst game I've seen by far. And that is that. They won the game mainly because Sam Howell was able to make something out of nothing at the last minute. And they got to the end zone. Cardinals, they couldn't convert. And they lost. That's really it. That game was just absolutely awful. And I don't know how the Commanders were able to win 8 games last year. It's astounding to me, but they did, and I don't see them winning 8 games this year. All right, let's go to the Bucs and Vikings. This was a surprising one. I did not expect the Vikings to lose this game, but they did. I wasn't a believer in the Vikings this year. I thought they were going to take a step back because they lost Dalvin Cook. They lost some defensive pieces, and yeah, they lost to the Buccaneers week 1. And the Buccaneers, I thought they're going for Caleb Williams. They're going for Drake May sweepstakes. But they got some pride. They got some dudes on there. And the defense balled out. Baker Mayfield in the second half balled out. And they won the game. Justin Jefferson got his. Jordan Addison got his. Kirk Cousins got those passing yards. He was stat padding. But they weren't able to win it all. And that's really it. I'm not going to spend too much time on this one because who cares? Like, really, I'm sorry. Sorry, Vikings and Buccaneers fans, but like you guys don't really matter in this day and age. Saints and Titans. Another game I'm glad I didn't watch. Just a complete crapshoot. Derek Carr, he did come in clutch at the very end with that pass. I forgot, Rasheem Shaheed. I think I picked him up on my fantasy team from the waiver wire. But, I mean, Chris Olave, he did a really good job. But just overall, it was just not a good game. It was just a defensive battle. Ryan Tannehill played absolutely awful, 3 interceptions, and that's that. I mean, I don't really want to dive into it too much because this game against 2 teams that don't really have much to care for. I mean, I do like Chris Olave. I do like their defense, but Okay. Anywho, let's go to the next batch of games. Let's see here. Let's go to the Falcons and Panthers. The reason I care about this game is because I have Bijan Robinson. I have Bijan Robinson in my fantasy team, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm upset a little bit. I'm upset by the low amount of carries. Now I get it. He's a rookie. You want to manage his carries. You don't want to run him to the ground. But damn, you drafted a number 8 overall for a reason. Give him like 15 to 20. Now, I get it. Tyler Algier is the backup. He's really good as well. So if you have somebody like that, why would you want to give Bijan Robinson 15 to 20? I understand it. But this is Bijan Robinson. I don't care. And he was everything we thought he was. That touchdown that he was able to get, that's just who he is. He is one of the more talented running backs we've ever seen come out of college, and he displayed it against the Panthers. I really like the Falcons roster. It's just when it comes to passing the football, they don't know how to do that pretty well. Desmond Ridder is pretty pathetic when it comes to passing the football, and then also Arthur Smith. Why is Kyle Pitts only getting 2 receptions? Why is Drake London only getting 1 target? I get it. J.C. Horn was out there, but I think J.C. Horn, he eventually got injured during that game. Why is Drake London not getting the ball? Why is Kyle Pitts not getting the ball? I need some explanations because this is getting ridiculous. The fact that your 2 pass catchers, you drafted these 2 guys in the top 10 and you can't give them the ball? What is going on? Why? 2 of the more talented players at their position and you cannot give them the ball. It's getting ridiculous. I'm tired of it. I have Drake London in my fantasy team and you can't give him the ball? What? Keeps getting away with this. His day will come. His day will come if you keep doing this. I'm telling you, if you guys don't make the playoffs this year, your day is coming. Your day is coming because this is getting ridiculous. I'm so sick and tired of Arthur Smith and Desmond Ridder just not taking advantage of the pass catchers that you have. I wanted to go on a little rant. But on the Panthers side of things, I said this before. It's going to be a long season for Bryce Young and the Panthers. They're just not talented enough. The offensive line is pretty bad. The skill positions, those guys are relatively slow. I mean, DJ Chark, he's the only speed guy for real. Everybody else is relatively slow and out of their prime. I like Hayden Hurst. It seems like Bryce Young has a good connection with Hayden Hurst. Miles Sanders, not too big on Miles Sanders when you're not with Shane Steichen anymore. So that's just the way it is with the Carolina Panthers right now. Don't really need to speak much on their side of things. Pray for Bryce Young. All right. Let's go to the Jags and the Colts. Now, this game was close for a lot of the game. But then in the fourth quarter, the Jags were able to pull away. Trevor Lawrence. I will say that Trevor Lawrence, he looked really good this game. He looked really good. And listen, I said in the podcast before that Trevor Lawrence is going to take a leap this year with the addition of Calvin Ridley. But what I'm not going to do is what all of these people like to do when it comes to Trevor Lawrence is all of a sudden put him over every other quarterback. They saying, oh, he's top 2 now. He's better than Herbert. He's better than Joe. He's better than... Stop it. It's one game. Is he top 10? Absolutely. You want to argue he's top 8? Okay, then. But to put him ahead of Justin Herbert, to put him ahead against Joe Burrow, let's stop the madness, people. Come on now. Let's stop the madness. It's one game. Now, I do think he's going to be really good this year. I do think he's going to take a leap. And when he does take that leap, when he does show that He's better than those guys. I will admit it. But for right now, let's not be prisoner of the moment. But he did look good that game. And Calvin Ridley, I drafted Calvin Ridley in fantasy. He was tremendous. I already knew this. I don't care. Oh, he took a year off because of gambling. Oh, he hasn't put up great numbers since 2019. Shut up. Shut up, bro. Calvin Ridley is him. And what he did against the Colts, I'm not surprised. So, on the Colts side of things, Anthony Richardson actually played pretty well for his first game. I was surprised, although the Jags defense is not anything to brag about. He is a rookie playing against NFL talent, and he did a really good job. He had an interception, but he still was poised in the pocket. He made some really good plays. Just needs to protect himself a little bit better, like Trevor Lawrence said when he talked to Anthony Richardson. But overall, I was a bit impressed, just from the clips that I've seen, and we'll have to see. The only quarterback to think of that has ever thrived out of college with only playing 1 year starting has been Kyler Murray. So can Anthony Richardson break that cycle? We'll have to see. All right. Let's go to... Man, there's so many games. Let's go to Raiders and Broncos. This is just a snooze fest. So Russ fooled people. That first half performance, people were like, oh, the Broncos, they look good. And the second half rolls around and they reverted back to their old ways. Trash. Russell Wilson was relatively quiet in the second half. They weren't able to move the ball down the field. Now, Jerry Jeudy, he was hurt. I think Greg Dolch, he got injured. It's just a disaster. It really is. They don't have the offensive pieces. They don't have enough offensive pieces to really go down the field. The running backs are, they're okay. Samaje Perine's okay. Javonte Williams coming off of a major injury. It's going to be a long year for Sean Payton. I wasn't a believer in the Broncos in the first place. I don't care who your head coach is. At the end of the day, Russell Wilson, I just don't think he has it. I don't think he has it anymore. He hasn't been good since, what was it? Not his final year in Seattle, but the year before, where he was looking like an MVP at one point. I just don't see it. I really don't. And I could be wrong, but I just don't see it. Just like Deshaun, I don't believe in the quarterback. So I don't think the Broncos going to have a good year this year. From the Raiders side of things, they had no business winning this game, but because it's the Broncos, they won the game. They beat the Broncos in Denver. I guess it's impressive. Not really much to say. I'm not a believer in the Raiders either. But they did win the game. Jimmy Garoppolo managed the game well enough. Devontae Adams, he was okay. He was serviceable. Josh Jacobs, he didn't make a whole lot of noise. But it's just two bad teams playing against one another. There's nothing really much to say. And again, I wasn't able to watch the entirety of the game because I was at the Commanders versus Cardinals game, and I only was able to watch highlight clips in the box score. That's all I was really able to do. So sorry, fans of those teams, but that's just how it is. I can't watch every freaking game. There's so many damn games. All right, let's transition to Eagles and Patriots. This was a surprise to me. What wasn't a surprise was the first half when the Eagles were absolutely dominating the Patriots. What was surprising to me was the second half when the Eagles started to go on cruise control, started sleepwalking, and the Patriots started roaring back and nearly came back and won. That was surprising to me, and it just speaks to my sort of prediction before the season started when we were talking about the NFC East. And it's that the Eagles are going to struggle early because they have a bunch of younger guys that are going to play defensively, new OC, new DC. Luckily, they were playing the Patriots, who are not a really good team, and they were able to come out of there with a victory on the road. So, but yeah, I was definitely surprised that the game was that close. But overall, they have one in Jalen Carter. I could say that he was dominant that game. He's a dude already, and the fact that he slipped all the way to the Eagles is tragedy. Like, come on now, it's a travesty all in itself. Mac Jones looked pretty well the second half. He really did. Kendrick Bourne. I don't know. Maybe the Patriots might have something. Who knows? You do that against the Eagles. Maybe you might have something. Maybe I was wrong about the Patriots, but I'm not sold yet because it's just one game. All right, Rams and Seahawks. Another game I was surprised. I thought the Rams were cooked. I thought the Rams were going to come to the season and Caleb Williams sweepstakes, Drake May sweepstakes. I guess when you have Matthew Stafford under center, he's going to be like, nope, we're not tanking for nothing. We're going to win this game. And they won the game. Tutu Atwell and what's his name? Puku or something? Pookie or I don't have the name. Matter of fact, let me see. Let me see. I never heard of these guys before. Like, this is the first time I ever heard of these guys. Puka Nakua, I think that's his name. This brother right here was killing the Seahawks secondary. Tutu Atwell and Puka were killing those guys. Like, oh my gosh, I did not expect that at all. And on Seahawks side of things, just an embarrassing performance. Like, how the hell do you let this Rams team, one of the worst roster teams in the league, come into Seattle and do a number on you guys? You should be ashamed of yourself. Like, seriously, that was absolutely embarrassing, and I hope the coaches are yelling in your ear in the film study, because that was bad. That was really bad. Yeah, nothing really much to say about that. I mean, Cooper Kupp wasn't even playing, and they were still able to do a number on you when it came to passing yards. So, yeah. Nothing else really matters. Okay, and then let's get to the final game. Cowboys and Giants. I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed at how awful the Giants were. I expected this to be a game. I expected to see, I don't know, something from Daniel Jones. You know, there was so much hype. There was so much hype when it came to Daniel Jones. When it came to, oh my God, he's gotten so much better in training camp and preseason. And to come into this game and to lay an egg as bad as you did, and then also the offensive line not improving at all. Evan Neal hasn't improved. The only good guy is Andrew Thomas yet again. It's just terrible. Darren Waller, now he's on the injury report again. I think it may have been a hamstring. Oh my gosh, this is just an abomination. Saquon didn't do much against the Cowboys. It was one of the most egregious performances I've ever seen from a team. But you have to tip your hat for the Cowboys because they dominated that game from start to finish. They put a hat on Daniel Jones. They sacked him like 7 times. It was an absolute domination, the likes we haven't seen in some years. 40-0. Donut, you couldn't score a field goal? Not one? And it's so crazy because the first drive, right, the Giants were moving down the field really well. And then I think Daniel Jones, did he muff the snap or something like that? I think he may have did, and that would have been, and I think that was 3rd down. And then 4th down came around, blocked field goal for a touchdown. And I was in the living room, family room area watching the game. I was like, don't tell me that's going to be like the play that decides the game. And it was. I was thinking like, oh my God, don't tell me that's going to be the play that sort of just sets the tone for the game. And it literally did. 40-0 is egregious. Like the Dallas offense didn't even have to do much because they were always like in good territory because the defense played really well. They were able to make sure that the Giants offense was held at bay. So Dak Prescott didn't have to really do much. All he had to do was just manage the game and not lose the game for his team. And that's really what it was. And it sucks because I had CD on my fantasy team, and CD didn't have to do much because the defense was so dominant, was so good, and the Giants offense was so pathetic, so egregious that CD was on cruise control. He could just chill for the most part. And that's what they literally did. I was highly disappointed with the Giants. All that Daniel Jones hype. I haven't heard much from them Daniel Jones fans besides the fact that, oh, the protection. Oh, my God, he's running for his life. Like, they always have excuses with Daniel Jones. And, part of that is true. But at the same time, it's never Daniel Jones' fault. It's always, oh, it's the receivers. It's the offensive line. You know what I mean? It's the play calling. It's never Daniel Jones' fault. It is what it is. But that'll do it. That's the last game on the docket for week 1 of the regular season. Next week, I'll be back doing week 2. I hope you guys enjoyed this, just me discussing week 1 football. And let's try this again next week. Thank you guys for watching. And also, I will also post podcast episode on Saturdays as well. It's going to be me, Brian. We'll be in the studio, and we'll be doing our predictions for the games, analyzing the games. So stay tuned for that as well. So you're going to get me reacting to the week's games, and then you're going to have me and Brian predicting next week's games. So get a 2-for-1 special. Not 2-for-1 special. What the hell am I talking about? Anywho, let me stop this. I'll see you guys Saturday with Brian. Thank you guys for watching, and peace.
Look, cold world, still a cold world. And a couple of y'all is cool, but we a little more thorough. Whole time, a little more girls. You know I spit that sick shit and it's still no cure. Hold up, loud.